want to talk about marriage?
That's your problem. You don't have a piece of mind.
I don't want the piece of paper you got.
You don't even stand on 10 about...
What you gotta do is,
you're running around calling Jasmine and calling everybody who listens. Rasheeda ain't my friend. Rasheeda ain't my friend.
Girl, are you out of your mind? Let me explain something to you. What I'm not gonna do is sit here and play games with you. And every single thing you say, you need to make sure you come say it to my face.
Baby, I'm right here.
I will tell you, you're a deflector. I'm not.
You're a compulsive liar.
Nobody in Atlanta was ready for this explosion. Not the producers, not the cast. Not even the fans who thought they had seen it all when fights turned violent and secrets spilled on camera. But when Rasheeda and Yandy finally locked eyes face to face, the entire room shifted into a storm that no one could contain. This wasn't just another heated reunion clip fans would meme for a week and forget this was history in the making. The kind of reality TV showdown that stamps itself into culture forever. The tension was so thick, even through the screen you could feel it pressing down.
All you do is around and laugh. You laugh, you joke,
because
and right as your is bleeding out.
Guess what?
Bleeding out is embarrassing.
You know what your problem is?
I don't have a problem.
You have a
That's your problem. You are obsessed. You are so obsessed. And the thing is, while I'm out here yelling for the culture, you pressed. You gotta go be pressed somewhere else.
Yes, make it millions. Yes, I am
you pressed.
Very happy, very happy, and very good.
I'm gonna sit and do a podcast.
Yandy, let's be clear.
I'm gonna sit and talk about my business. I'm gonna sit and talk about
Yandy, all right.
I'm gonna sit and talk about you.
What I'm not gonna do is play this game
I'm not
with you.
gonna sit and talk about somebody else.
I'm not gonna play this game with you.
Like one wrong word would collapse everything Rasheeda and Yandy had built for over a decade. And it didn't take long before Yandy swung with words sharper than any slap. A line fans would later crown as the infamous DNA drag heard around the world. From the second Rasheeda walked in 4 hours late, but blazing with fury the producers knew control was gone. She didn't come to talk, she came to destroy. Meanwhile, Yandy sat still, simmering like a fighter who knew the knockout punch would come at the perfect time. When Rasheeda accused Yandy of being obsessed, pointing to podcasts and slick confessionals, Yandy leaned forward and unleashed the thunder. Please stop talking about where my man goes. When your husband had to swab your baby on national TV, the crowd gasped. Cast froze. Even producers looked ready to crawl out of their chairs. That was the line, the strike that cut deeper than any insult. Because it ripped open the humiliation Rasheeda could never erase. Kirk, the man she defended season after season, had once tested his own child on camera because even he didn't believe the baby was his. Rasheeda tried to laugh it off, but her voice cracked under the truth. She hurled insults, liar, obsessed, delusional, but each word bled desperation. For years, her entire storyline was surviving Kirk's betrayals, the infamous 3 earrings hot tub moment, the cheating receipts, the side baby, the public apologies that embarrassed her season after season. So when Rasheeda bragged that she and Kirk were the king and queen of love and hip-hop, because their drama boosted ratings, the audience didn't clap, they cringed. The ratings weren't a crown. They were proof of humiliation on loop, and Yandy knew it. She sat poised, whispering, "Don't throw stones in a glass house." That whisper echoed louder than any scream, and fans swore they saw Rasheeda's eyes glisten like she was fighting back tears. Because while Rasheeda mocked Yandy for not having a marriage license, her own marriage was the running joke of love and hip-hop Atlanta. But Rasheeda didn't stop. She slammed the table, pointed her finger, called Yandy dusty, fake, a fraud. She even threw on a baseball cap, sneering, "You're not Atlanta." The room froze, waiting, and Yandy, in classic calm fashion, pulled out her own ATL hat and said with a smirk, "This is Atlanta." The crowd erupted, the cast broke character. Even the neutral faces couldn't hold back laughter. It was precision versus chaos, Rasheeda swinging wild while Yandy sliced with surgical accuracy. Fans online crowned it immediately. Asterisk asterisk, Yandy ate Rasheeda alive. Because you can't call someone dusty when your husband is still mocked for a hot tub scandal. You can't call yourself queen when your crown is built on public betrayal still. Rasheeda kept pushing, claiming Yandy copied her boutiques, her restaurants, her brand. She called herself the blueprint, but fans knew the truth. Without Yandy, there would be no empire. Yandy helped Mona Scott Young build the entire love. And hip-hop franchise Rasheeda was just living in it. And when Rasheeda went even lower, spitting that Yandy's man didn't even like her, That he told people he couldn't stand her, the irony cracked the room wide open. Because if any man had embarrassed a woman on repeat for the world to see, it wasn't Mendices, it was Kirk dragging Rasheeda season after season, turning her storyline into humiliation that boosted everyone's ratings but destroyed her credibility. By the end of the first round, the room was electric. Rasheeda was red-faced, breathing heavy like she'd been in a physical fight. Yandy sat calm, legs crossed, smirk planted, letting silence cut deeper than screams. It was obsession versus deflection, desperation versus receipts. And when Rasheeda tried to finish her attack by mocking Yandy's marriage, calling it fake, Yandy leaned in and whispered the line that ended round one with a bomb. I don't need a piece of paper when I've got respect. And respect is something you'll never know not. While you're raising a legacy of your husband's mistakes, the cast gasped. Fans online declared it one of the coldest reads in history. And the war officially began. Nobody knew how this fight would end. But everyone knew one thing: Rasheeda versus Yandy wasn't just drama. It was war. The room froze, every eye wide, every body tense. Everyone knew Rasheeda had gone below the belt, aiming not to expose truth, but to wound. Even the producers shifted in their seats, uncomfortable with how dark it had turned. But Yandy? She didn't cry. She didn't fold. She didn't even raise her voice. Instead, Yandy laughed, slow and sharp, a sound that only made Rasheeda angrier. And then she delivered the line that cut deeper than any insult. At least when my man disrespects me, it's not in front of millions of people. At least I don't have to watch reruns of my humiliation every season just to get a check. Respect matters more than a title, and baby, all you've got is a title nobody respects. Fans later crowned it the ultimate checkmate, because while Rasheeda kept swinging with not married insults, the angle collapsed under the weight of her own history. Marriage on paper meant nothing when the world watched Rasheeda get dragged through scandal after scandal by Kirk, and Yandy knew it. Her calm wasn't weakness, it was strategy. The more she stayed poised, the more the hypocrisy in Rasheeda's words bled out for everyone to see. Then came the moment that finished the first half of the battle, the infamous hot tub receipt. Yandy pulled out her phone, pressed play, and laughter rolled across the room. On the screen, the clip everyone knew: Kirk in the hot tub, 3 earrings flashing, surrounded by women, no respect in sight. Rasheeda's face drained of color. Even though the footage was old, it landed differently now. It wasn't just a flashback, it was evidence. It was context. Proof that Rasheeda had no ground to call anyone dusty or delusional when she had been humiliated. On the world stage season after season, the cast split down the middle. Some tried to comfort Rasheeda. Others quietly sided with Yandy, but the truth was louder than any defense. Fans online lit up instantly. Comments pouring in about how Rasheeda was being forced to face her own reflection. And the cruel part, she couldn't win. Every swing she threw at Yandy bounced back like an echo with double the force. Still, Rasheeda refused to let go. She screamed that she and Kirk were the king and queen of love and hip-hop Atlanta, that their names carry the franchise. But fans watching at home laughed. They flooded the comments with reminders that the real crown belonged to Jocelyn, Stevie, and Mimi, and that without Yandy, there wouldn't even be a franchise to claim. Yandy was there from the start, helping Mona Scott Young build the empire brick by brick. Rasheeda's royalty was nothing more than a desperate rewrite of history. By now, the fight wasn't personal, it was cultural. Who really carried the show? Who built the legacy? Who could survive fan scrutiny after a decade of reality TV chaos? Yandy didn't need to scream because the fans screamed for her. They clipped her reads, turned her smirk into memes, edited her calm stare into Mortal Kombat. Flawless victory videos. Meanwhile, every table slam, every finger point from Rasheeda looked like desperation frozen on camera. The producers, smelling viral gold, let the cameras roll. They knew they were capturing more than a fight, they were filming a cultural reset. But Rasheeda, red-faced and trembling, refused to stop. She yelled that Yandy was pressed, jealous, nothing without her. But those words fell flat against the mountain of receipts. The truth was clear to everyone watching. The only one pressed was Rasheeda, fighting to convince herself humiliation equaled power. Then came Yandy's coldest blow of the night. Calm, sharp, almost whispering, she leaned in. You call me dusty, but I've never had to beg the world to respect me. You call me obsessed, but I've never obsessed over a man who clowned me in front of millions. And you call yourself a queen, but queens don't build castles out of humiliation. The room erupted. Gasps, nervous laughter. Even cast members who had tried to stay neutral clapped their hands over their mouths. Rasheeda looked like she might walk out then and there, shaking with rage but empty of weapons. She had screamed every insult, deflected every truth, and still couldn't knock Yandy down. When the cameras finally cut, the silence was deafening. Rasheeda sat stiff, arms crossed, jaw tight, looking less like a queen and more like someone cornered. Meanwhile, Yandy leaned back, smirk intact, sipping water as if the whole fight had been a warm-up. That contrast rage versus composure, volume versus precision was exactly what sent fans wild online. The hierarchy of the franchise was being rewritten in real time. But when cameras rolled again, Rasheeda couldn't contain it. She shot out of her chair, finger raised, voice shaking. "You will never sit above me in this city." Never. It cracked like thunder, but sounded more like desperation. And Yandy, calm as ever, tilted her head and fired back the line that shattered the room. "Respect isn't about the city. It's about the truth. And the truth don't lie, even when you do." Cast members gasped. Some clapped. Rasheeda looked like she'd been slapped. Because the truth was inescapable: the DNA drag, the hot tub receipts, the humiliation she tried to flex as ratings, all of it had buried her crown. Desperate, Rasheeda threw Jasmine's name into the mix, suggesting Yandy had been messy behind the scenes. But instead of landing, it backfired. Yandy leaned forward with the question that cut through everything. "Why do you have all this energy for me, but none for Kirk? Why is it easier to call me Dusty than to call him disrespectful?" The room went silent. Fans online exploded. It was surgical. It was undeniable. For over a decade, everyone had watched Rasheeda swallow Kirk's betrayals while lashing out at the women around him. And now Yandy had forced her to face it. There was no comeback. That night, social media crowned the winner before the episode even ended. Team Yandy trended worldwide. Clips of the DNA drag, the hot tub receipts, and the "why no smoke for Kirk" line went viral on TikTok and Twitter. Memes showed Rasheeda's face next to clown emojis. Edits paired Yandy's calm clapbacks with flawless victory. The fight wasn't just a scene, it was a cultural reset. And yet, in the room, Rasheeda's rage boiled hotter. She turned her anger on producers, accusing them of setting her up, claiming edits would erase her and Kirk's contributions. But the sight of Kirk himself stepping forward, silent, the same man tied to every humiliation being replayed, only fueled the flames. Fans online instantly flipped it into a new joke, not the man with 3 earrings defending her, when he's the reason for all this. Yandy rose to her feet, delivering one final dagger before walking out. "I don't need to prove anything to you, Rasheeda. The truth is already on tape. The world has seen it. The world has judged it. And the world knows what it is. I don't need to win this argument because you've already lost it." The silence was brutal. Rasheeda opened her mouth, but no words came. Cameras zoomed in, catching the exact moment pride collapsed into defeat. The cliffhanger wrote itself. Rasheeda versus Yandy wasn't just a feud anymore, it was a franchise's reset. The crown had shifted, the fans had spoken, and the receipts had buried the queen who once thought she couldn't be touched. But in love and hip-hop, nothing stays buried. Pride always claws back. Humiliation always breeds revenge. The real question wasn't whether Yandy had what she had. The real question was what Rasheeda would do next. Would she fade into the background or come back swinging, desperate to reclaim the crown? One thing was certain, Atlanta hadn't seen the last round, and the next one would be even uglier.